Yes, good evening, Ugandans. I'm Agawa Gerard, the student of Bosema University, Arapai campus. We have come here to talk about this common plant. It has been seen by every people who have traveled all over the country. It is called dodder plant, to scatter flexa. So this plant is very common in northern Uganda, which is eastern part of Uganda, and it has come to central and western part of Uganda. So this plant is not an origin of this or a native of this Uganda. It has come from outside countries, for example USA, China, Indonesia, India, parts of Europe, China and Australia. But it came into Africa by dispersal. It is dispersed by water, fertilizers, birds, humans like herbalists and others. So this plant is a parasitic plant which attaches itself to different parts of the plant. Those plants which it attaches, they are called hosts. So for example, this plant is called a host. So this host provides feeding to this parasitic plant. This plant is an obligate plant. So this means that it cannot live without its host. For example, after flowering, this plant will just, its seeds will fall down. After falling down, 2 to 3 to 4 days, it will germinate. After germination for 4 to 10 days, if it doesn't get its host, this plant will die. So this plant has to get its host within 10 days after germination. So the plant has its common holstia. Holstia, it is a part on it which attaches or clamps itself on the part of the plant, which makes it easy to absorb nutrients, for example carbohydrates, proteins and other things in the plant. So this plant attaches itself on other plants or hosts to get its food, because it doesn't have chlorophyll or it doesn't make its own food. So because it lacks a green pigment for photosynthesis. So this plant also, it is an annual plant. After the single season it dries, but because of twinning, you can see this is what I'm calling twinning. It joins one another. The old part dies, but the young part goes on and covers the whole plant. So this is the problem of this plant. Thank you.
Mr. Gerard, you can talk about its growth habits. You can talk about the effects or the problems which it has imposed to most of the farmers in Uganda, how it has rated down the agriculturists, herbalists, all those who deal in plant growing.
Thank you, sir. So to talk about its uses, it has different uses. For example, herbalists uses it for witchcraft. Because of its name, it has different names. For example, it's sometimes called a devil's gut. That name makes it to be known as a witch, because very many people use it as for witchcraft. Then another one, it is also for love, because in outside the countries they call it a love plant. So I don't know much about it, but if you go on and research about it, you are going to find that somewhere in the parts of the world it is used for love purposes. Then it has a therapeutic advantages, which are very many and they are wide, because of different active ingredients in it. For example, it has glycosides, alkaloids, flavonoids and others. So because of those active ingredients or chemical substances composed in it, makes it to treat a wide range of diseases. For example, it is said to treat problems related with poor sexual ability. It has a therapeutic advantage of treating inflammations. It has a therapeutic advantage of treating sores. Sores, I mean like wounds. So it has a wide range of that. When we come to its disadvantages, for them also in the ecosystem there are very many. For example, for humans, this plant, if it is around your homestead, it is going to limit oxygen around you, because it is stopping this plant or the host from getting from getting sunlight for photosynthesis and the release of carbon dioxide, and for the gain of carbon dioxide and release of oxygen. So we use oxygen. So when this plant has covered all this plant will not be easily accessing sunlight, so it will die sometime if the host has not gained its energy. So then the other one, for another disadvantages, for example, if the plant was edible by other animals, for example livestock, so it will limit it from being used. So for example, now here, if the goats come for grazing, it will not eat, because this plant is not edible to livestock. Then another disadvantage, for example, for crop production, for example, those people who are growing coffee, for example, in the Usoga region where it started, those people cut their coffee because it destroyed the whole plant by covering it, and there was no production at all. Thank you.
Mr. Gerard, before you finish, I wanted you to tell us about how we can control it from our fields, so that we can achieve much from our plants.
Thank you. So it's control. For example, when it's in your garden, you can just cut the next plant to stop it, and you control that single plant where it has attached. Then another way, you can use chemical methods, but I will not outline any chemical because of different wide range of chemicals in the market, but you can go and research and get some chemical which can control it, but they are there in the market. Then the last way of controlling it, you can cut it and bury. Thank you.